Hello and welcome to this edition of the show. I'm your host, Brian Mallard. We got Tim over there running the controls.
Hello.
And we got this cozy comfortable new chair set up. We got rid of the stools.
If he falls asleep, we're going back to the other.
You can never tell. I just might. I am lucky to be awake at any given time. Well, today on the show, we have something that we've never had before. We have something that's I'm actually very fascinated to learn about, is tattooist. We got Cora Lee. Cora, appreciate you coming on the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me.
That would be Cora Lynn.
Cora Lynn. Cora Lee, Cora Lynn.
Cora Lynn.
Cora Lee. She prefers Cora Lee.
She doesn't care. That's cool.
I'll
I like
answer
that
to
attitude.
both either, really.
I answered all kinds of things.
I copied it off Facebook. It's Cora Lynn.
So, Cora, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born here in Columbus.
Cool.
Absolutely.
What'd your parents do?
My family's in trucking.
Fun.
Yeah, so we had the 2A truck stop and stuff like that over in Phoenix City.
Fun. Now, is that where New Wave Electronics used to be?
I have no clue.
Back in my CB radio
I was
days.
to say, I don't know. I just know the 18-wheelers, you know.
Interesting. Now, what got you interested in skin art?
Probably just I remember seeing, I think the first time I saw a tattoo was down in Panama City on somebody's shoulder. I was really young. I didn't know that was something you could do.
Right.
You know, and I've always been an art kid. So I got really interested. My family hated that. And I got my first tattoo on my 18th birthday to make everyone very angry. And then I met a tattoo artist, and I wanted to date him. And so the next thing you know, I was hanging out in a shop as much as possible.
Wow. So now, going back a little bit, you said you were already artistic. You were
Sure.
art. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, it's nothing that was anything more than a kid who didn't pay attention to school and only wanted to draw.
Hey.
That was it. Past that, it wasn't necessarily back then, you know, as supported as it is these days, because I wasn't paying attention to,
Right.
you know, the basic stuff, which I did fine in it. I just wasn't interested.
Right. Yeah. Well, and you know that's for an artistic personality, your standard going to school is
Exactly.
like, oh, it's horrible. Now, tell me a little bit about your education as far as giving tattoos.
Well, I apprenticed with a gentleman here. But for about a year. It didn't end too positively, but I had enough experience to be able to go work with my mentor in Atlanta and get fine-tuned. And so really with tattooing, we never are completely educated. So every day, you know, I've been working in a shop in some way for 20 years now. I've been tattooing for 10 of them. But I learned there's things I'm going to learn tomorrow. You know what I mean? It really never stops.
It's the same with, you know, like with music. I'm a musician.
Absolutely.
And it's like you're always learning something. And if you learn everything, then it's just
you cut yourself short if you think you know everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, tell me a little bit about like working with, let's say that, you know, artists work with canvas, they work with watercolors, they work with, in your particular case, it's, you know, working with the human skin. Now, like, say somebody working on canvas painting, they make a mistake, and you just paint over it and keep going. How is that? Is that like a worry when you're giving a tattoo, or is it?
You always should have that in the front of your mind to make sure that you're on point. I'm not saying that people don't make mistakes, but you do learn how to incorporate things and make it look like it was supposed to be that way. If it's a minor thing, hopefully you wouldn't make a major mistake unless you just weren't paying attention. You know, that's just, there's no room for that kind of era.
Yeah, because I've noticed, like, I've seen tattoo artists working before, and they're like.
Yeah, nothing else matters.
Right.
That's just, you're in this people, and that's the only thing going on in the world. And if you break, you shouldn't, you know, it's on you. But I don't.
Right.
You know.
Now, we all have heroes, and no matter what, you know, what field we're in. Are there any tattoo artists that, you know, or somebody that you follow, you look up to?
There's so many. Like, there's amazing things going on in tattooing. When I got into it, it was more limited, and now we have art students that are graduating and becoming artists, whereas before it was kind of off the beaten path. And so now you have art educated people. I was an artist, I'm not art educated. I know stuff because I've learned it, but these kids come out and they put out things that we didn't even know could be done on skin.
Right.
You know, and so limits are being blown out all the time, and I look up to everyone who's got a passion for it. It doesn't have to be one person, you know.
Right. It's interesting because where I work, there are people with tattoos, but like 15 years ago, and Tim works at the same place, but you know, there was a time that you had to, like, if you had a tattoo on your arm, you had to like put a piece of sock over it or a bandage or something. And it's like you said, it's become more mainstream. Like that's all gone now. You know, people, you know, everywhere.
It's well more. People are well more understanding and aren't as easily offended. Maybe that somebody has body art and has chosen to do that with their stuff. It's just more accepted, which is great because it doesn't hinder you from doing any job at all. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now we're going to get into the other aspect of what you do in a minute, but one of the things I wanted to go into was, being in America, there we have, you know, freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Is there any like type of art that you won't put on somebody?
I'm not going to associate myself with anything that's horribly negative for no reason. I have that choice. There's people who will choose to do it, and they'll have to go see them. So I'm not going to get involved with any kind of racism. I'm not going to get involved with anything like that. Beyond that, it's not my choice. It's theirs. But as long as it's not, you know, just rude.
And it kind of goes
crude,
along with like any other aspect of your life.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's just the person you are. I'm not saying that another artist would say the same thing because they wouldn't. It's really 100% up to them.
Right.
But what tattoo I do, my name is attached to it, and I just try and make sure I'm associated with the more positive side.
Right. And that's never a bad thing.
No, absolutely.
Keeping things positive is always good.
Yeah.
Now the other side of it is the piercing, body piercing. You do that as well.
I have people that do it. I don't do it. I don't know how.
Tell me a little bit about that, like what goes into it, because I mean, clearly, if you're gonna poke holes in somebody's skin, you know, it's like
Okay, all right. Now take it easy. You know this is going to get me.
Well, like I said, I don't pierce myself. I attempted an apprenticeship piercing with one of the piercers that works for me.
Right.
And quite honestly, it's just it's like so much more intimate,
Right,
and stuff. It just wasn't for me, and so I just trust well-educated piercers to be professional. And one of my piercers, he's a paramedic as well, and you know, like I hire well. So
that's the thing.
You know,
I don't know myself. I just trust my hires,
Right.
and they're all, very accountable, very mature people. So everything goes well.
I have, and this kind of goes back to the same question you were talking about earlier. You know, I have a brother that is a musician, and I know we grew up in the deep South back in the 19. So I'm not going to go there. But you know, at that time, he was. Let's put it this way: he was accused of playing the devil's music.
Right. Yeah.
So you know, he had that stigma for the longest, and I look at tattooing, and it had the same thing
It did.
for the longest time, but now it's just come out as an art form.
Well, and the commercialism of tattooing with reality shows and stuff, it actually helps to show that, you know, it's not all about just a piece of flash on the wall, that we can create something that's very specific for you, and, you know, it's a real piece of artwork, and it took a while for that to come to terms society-wise.
Right.
You know, because it was associated with kind of the darker side of life, and, you know, or I'm having a bad time, so I got to go get a tattoo to feel better. So instead of just people wanting, you know, a significant piece of art on them forever.
Right.
You know,
right.
and then the last 10 to 15 years, equipment-wise on our side, there's been a lot of developments that, you know, the layman wouldn't know about that allows us to be able to tattoo like that. That prior, they didn't have the stuff for. They didn't have the pigment colors. They didn't have the array of things that we have at our fingertips
Right.
these days. The better your equipment, the better your products.
Right.
You know, it's just, it's normal growth, I think. It just has kind of condensed and happened within the 10 or 15 years on tattooing, because it was so stale and stagnant for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to how would you compare it at all to, like, say, surgery, like as far as like the having to, like, danger of infection, that sort of thing? And I ask these questions because I don't know anything about tattooing.
So your dangers of infection really come into play if you're dealing with a professional shop. It comes into play in your aftercare, and so if you have an educated artist that teaches your client how to do it right, then you really don't have that danger anymore.
Right.
Once again, the last 10 to 15 years, we've had so many developments on that side of it too. So we have a clean setup. You know what I mean? It's not going to be sterile like a surgery would be, because we don't have that kind of field to be set up in.
Right. Yeah.
But we do a clean setup, and we use sterile, like disposable equipment. All of our needles are pre-sterilized and disposable, things like that. Like back in the day, there was, those kind of things weren't readily available. A tattoo artist couldn't call a medical supply company and get those things.
Right.
We can now.
Yeah.
They acknowledge we use it and we need it, and we use medical grade sterilization, like maticide and opsides, and all of the things we clean with are going to be antimicrobial and everything like that. And so, we're just really at a really different place now. And so you're good in a professional shop.
Right.
As long as you take care of it correctly when you leave, you're good anyway. The people that you see who have had bad issues, they aren't doing something at home.
Right.
Like they're sticking their hand in a garbage can and they got a fresh tattoo.
Yeah.
Things they wouldn't do if it was they fell down and hurt themselves. They'd take way better care of that.
Right.
But,
right.
they don't necessarily always think about that with the tattoo, which
And honestly,
is unfortunate.
And honestly, I don't see people walking around with like infected tattoos.
No, it really isn't. But the internet they throw out those pictures occasionally, and people get a little welled up and get worried. But at the end of the day, that's not happening. That's not happening in the shop. In the shop, we're monitored by our health department. Our health department comes in. We have to have bloodborne pathogen training. We have to have first aid training. We have to have a lot of things to be able to apply that tattoo. And we're taking all of that stuff into consideration so that you don't come out of our shop with any issues, and we're going to tell you how to make sure you don't get any. Now, what you do with the information once you walk out, I can't have anything to do with. Some people, adhere. Some people don't.
Right.
I think that's the nature of the beast, though.
Well, that's cool. I guess we're going to be going to a commercial here shortly, but while Tim's digging up that file, tell me a little bit about opening up when you first opened up your shop. Had to be exciting.
Like yesterday was our 7-year anniversary date, and I had been tattooing about 3 years. I had planned on waiting until I'd been tattooing for 10 years before I opened a shop. It was something I wanted to do, but we were put in a position where it was kind of, I better just do it now, because I had to either do that or either go work back in Atlanta for my mentor, do something I really wasn't wanting to do that, and the opportunity just opened itself up, and so I took it.
Fun.
Yeah. Just gambled in it,
And, that's the nature of the beast.
Exactly.
Ready with that clip, Tim?
Yes, we are.
Sometimes I like to throw it off on Tim real suddenly, like, so he has to.
Yeah, he has. He's caught me by surprise.
It's because I'm blonde. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Come join us every week for Open Mic Thursdays at Fountain City Coffee with your host, Brian Mallard. Registration begins at 6:30. Show runs from 7 to 10. Uptown Columbus, where the vibe is. Timeless beauty at the Gypsy Cherub, 3760 Woodruff Road, Columbus, Georgia. Class is back in style.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy, the chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Hello and welcome back to this edition of the show with Cora Lee. Cora Lynn, Cora Lee. The joke of the show, I don't know which one to say. Now, we're going to be looking at some examples of your work.
Okay.
And while Tim brings that up, tell us a little bit about this particular piece.
I can't see it. I can barely see it, actually.
Oh, she's hard to see, guys. Let me go ahead and...
Can you make that larger?
Yeah, I can. These are things, actually, that I got off her shop, which is the Black Lotus shop.
Okay, so I don't know which artist did that one. So it would be a matter of, I could tell you about it, but I can't tell you who did that one. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's go.
Had a lot of the shading here.
I was going to say it's some Celtic work and clover,
Very nice.
banner work. It's super clean, red. That looks like Steve-O's work, some ribs. We've got 9 artists, so at the end of the day, sometimes if they send me their work and I'll okay. But
And I'll say right now, Cora is, I believe she resides in Florida now.
I do.
And she has a shop here in Columbus, so
Yes.
she is multitasking big time.
Wow. Yeah.
So I can
Right,
see
that
how
I'm
she
not
might
necessarily
not be
in
as
there.
connected as if she were here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and even if I was sitting in the shop with 9 artists working, I can't tell you every piece.
That's a lot to keep.
I mean,
up
I
with.
wish I could, but goodness.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I got to pay bills.
I'd be screwed. I'd be in trouble if I had to keep up
And
with
you live in what, Navarre, Florida?
Navarre, Florida.
Oh, that's gorgeous. I love that
It's
place.
amazing. It's so beautiful.
It is. But we're just going to run through a couple more of these
That
just to take a
is
look at it.
Ryan Bill right there. He's an awesome artist. Comes down. He lives up in Noonan and drives down to work here.
So sometimes you can look at...
I was going to say, some of them I can tell. I'll be able to tell you who it is.
Is it just the shading, or is it the
They have a certain style, sure.
Wow,
yeah.
she can recognize that.
Holly.
This I love.
That's
impressive.
Holly Klaus. Yep, she's amazing. She's at Take Pride of Your Hide on Instagram and stuff, and she does everything. But this painterly kind of look of these, her tattoos are amazing. It just looks like she has a oil paint,
Right. Yeah.
but on skin.
That's amazing.
Now this may be a stupid question, but then again, hey, I'm very illiterate about tattooing myself, but with guys, just the arm, because I seem to see a lot of shots that of these tattoos are all on the arm. Do they?
Sure.
Is that like the big spot to put it on?
It's
or-
it's a good starting point a lot of times, and then it's a nice size piece of paper is what I
Right,
consider
right.
each little part of the body. And it's a good sized piece of paper, so you can get a good sized piece on there. They can see it. That's a big deal when you don't have a lot of tattoos. If you're only going to have a few, you want to be able to look at it. Don't
Right.
start on your back,
Yeah.
And so, it's pretty popular to get started right there, and it's hideable, so that if they need to be able to not, if they're military or whatever they're doing in their life, they want to be able to cover it. That's a pretty easy place to go.
Right.
Yeah.
The reason I wanted to ask that is I went back to this shot, which is a wide shot of both you, and if you can look at Cora, she has tattoos everywhere. Where
do.
did you first start? As far as what was your first tattoo?
I have my first tattoo was done by Falcon, and everybody knows Falcon around
I'm
here.
very familiar with Falcon.
It was down there on the shop on Victory Drive under the bridge, and I have a little crawling Black Panther right here, which was Flash, and I was just ready to go. I was like, I want that. And Fred, he just okay, sit down. We just went from there.
Wow.
It was rad.
So this is the next one we have. And
That looks like Ryan Bill.
okay, and
It's
I'm
the
looking.
guy from Noonan.
Do you have when people actually do this? Can you tell someone does it because they do it more with color and shading?
They
like
have
this
certain
particular one's a little bit
styles.
darker.
It is, and it's a neo-traditional piece. So our tattoos will fall into categories. There's traditional, neo-traditional, classic Americana, Japanese, new school. There's just a lot of different styles. And sometimes having the amount of artists I have gives them the ability to work on the art that they enjoy the most.
Right.
And so Ryan Bill loves neo-traditional. When I see if neo-traditional walks in our shop and somebody wants something, he's the one that gets it. Nobody else cares because they got other things they like.
Right.
And so just seeing the style, and then I know his work, like just I can tell how he shades things and the level of black he uses, little things like that. Like that's him.
Cool.
It wouldn't fall in anyone else's chair anyway. Everybody else would be like, go over there and let him do it because he does it the best because that's his passion. Yeah.
But before we look at the next one, when you guys actually, I guess when you're formulating a tattoo in your head, and you have to do the drawing, I would assume, to first show someone this is what we're going to do.
Well, yeah, it kind of goes like they come in and they book. We do most of our stuff on scheduled. We take small walk-ins when we can fit them, but most stuff is going to be, we're going to have a couple weeks to work on things. Most of us work on it in our head and then draw it right before the appointment. When they come in, they sit with us, they like it, we go to, if there's too many changes, we have to reschedule out. So that's kind of the process. So that we have to get their reference. We have to see if we can kind of like find out what they're thinking. Because in a way, we have to be able to see what you're thinking, which is really hard to do.
Yeah. See, guys,
and so you got to figure it out and kind of talk it out in your mind for a while first.
Yeah. I'm learning too. Because
absolutely.
My biggest education comes from whatever's on A&E show.
I was going to say, yeah, and it's different than it used to be. It used to be you walked in and we go, you like that? Let's change 2 things. Let's do it now. Now, like I said, it's more of a developmental process.
And the reason I asked that before, when we go to the next one, it has a lot of different elements that tie into the main tattoo.
Sure.
And that's the reason I really wanted to ask, which is the state of California, whoever got this. And it has all the different elements from the bears in California to the woodlands and so forth.
Oh, yeah.
And
and being in a military town, we always get people from everywhere, and they want to commemorate their home. Mm-hmm. And so doing something like that, to commemorate is just a fun way to fit it, like, see, on his arm. So the length of California goes with the length of the arm. So you get everything, and it's aesthetic.
Right.
It's aesthetically pleasing, which is also something we always have to take into consideration.
Oh, yeah.
We want it to work with the body, or it doesn't sit right. And so... But yeah, that's also Ryan Bill.
Way to go, Ryan. You're
I
on
was going
here.
to say, that's his black and gray.
And last but least, we have an owl.
That's Ryan Stark.
So see, she knows who it is right off the bat. That's amazing to me that she can do that.
He is we've only in 7 years made 2 tattoo artists. So we can apprentice. That's how you become a tattoo artist. So we're very picky about who we allow to come through and who we put out to tattoo.
Right.
There's been 2. That was one of them.
Wow.
Ryan is one of our children.
Now, how long does a tattoo usually take to create?
Anywhere between 10 minutes and 2 weeks.
Wow.
It
So
really
it
does
could be like
depends
them
on
and
what
back.
the tattoo is.
Wow.
It can be a quick process, but once again, like some people just want smaller things.
How long did California there take?
He probably put that together in about an hour. He's from California,
That's
so
amazing
it's
to me.
all that's probably like filed in his head, like all of the trees and the bears and the stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
but you're not going to put a back piece together that soon. You're not going to put some people come in with a full bare arm and they want you to develop a sleeve. That. Not only does that require longer, but it should require longer. You should put thought into it. You should do some things and then go no and come back in and fine tune them. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it really is. Every person that walks through has a different order. You just run with
Yeah.
it. It's going to be small to large. You never can know what you're going to deal with.
Now, what's your favorite tattoo that you've ever done or seen done in your shop?
It kind of changes all the time because we're always doing a lot of really cool new stuff. And I mean, honestly, I love them all. Like every day, the people that work for me blow my mind with the stuff they do. You know what I mean? Like right now, our Instagram, we try and update it, as good as I can do because I am in Florida and I do run the business from here, and I do work for someone in Florida for another shop. And then, I'm in Navarre, so I need to go to the beach. So at some point, social media, I wish I was updating my Instagram every day with the stuff we're putting out every day, but I handpick my favorites and put them on there. And so, it just depends on the day. Like, there's just amazing stuff every day. And it's all different. Anything from, like, a hand with a planchetta from a Ouija board to, like, a full back piece to some small things that are just simple and direct and, just have, like, great meaning. So every day it changes.
Now, what, there's a question I was going to ask. But where would you like to see your company go? Where would you like to see yourself in 20 years?
Well, I would like for Black Lotus to be exactly where it is and doing exactly what it's doing, and expanded would be the only difference. We started out in 900 square feet for the first 2 years we were open. Then we had an opportunity to go larger,
Right.
and it's worked out extremely well for us.
That's
and
great.
If I did anything, I would just either want to go larger, or eventually, if zoning would let us into downtown, I'd love to be down by the art college.
Right.
You know what I mean? But other than that, I think I like exactly how we're moving.
And that's what's so cool. It's like I said, you look at tattoos through the progression
Right.
of the years. And, I can remember when hearing the name Black Lotus Tattoo, and I'm not sure if you were the owner back then, but
Oh, yeah.
I know it was down on Victory Drive, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Was it not?
No,
it was
no.
It was on the south part of town.
No, I had Iron Rose on that side, but Black
that
Lotus has
Iron
always
Rose?
been exactly where it's at, except it was in another unit in the same mini mall.
Gotcha.
So before, though, there was Tattoo Tommy's, Freddy's, and Superior on Victory Drive. Those were the old school, like 1980s, 90s tattoo shops.
Right.
Falcons was downtown for a minute, and then they changed
remember
they
that.
changed the zoning on him and kicked him out downtown.
Wow.
And so no tattooing, no piercing, anything below Veterans Parkway going into downtown area. I've tried, trust me.
and, that
But
kind
no,
of a-
Black Lotus has always been on the north side. When we first opened over there, everybody was like, "Oh, there's not people just walking around," and that
Right.
used to be a big thing for tattooing. If you just didn't have that walk-in stuff, they didn't think you were going to survive. But we're a custom shop, and it was marketed correctly, and we market hard, and that brings people to you these days. So that's all we really had to do. But we've always been right there. Like I said, our 900 square foot was just a couple doors down from where I'm at now, and there hasn't been another one.
So it's no longer the stigmatism of we're long-haired bikers giving prison tats. It's actually
Nowhere
moved
near.
mainstream, and like you said earlier, you're getting just the artists and people coming
Oh,
from out of
gosh, yeah.
school. And,
Well,
and
no, yeah, like the minivan moms are our clientele. They're going to Harris County. You know what I mean? Like they're going to PTA after they leave us. Yeah.
It
Wow.
has become extremely mainstream, which actually
It's
brings
pretty
me to a
cool. I like
question.
that.
I do too. I'm happy that it's penetrated that side of society.
Actually, it's going through that ceiling that it used to be confined by. I like that.
Absolutely.
Now, in the old days, like you were talking about, you go in and there would be these boards with
The flash
pictures.
boards.
Right? And so, does that still happen, or is
Yeah.
it? Or
You
is-
still have distinctively two types of shops in tattoo society. There's plenty of shops that they have flash, and there's plenty of clients that they want to look at that. They're probably going to change it, which is good. We're happy that they don't
Right,
want the
right,
exact
yeah.
thing. But it's kind of eye candy too. Like, it's a tattoo shop. You're supposed to have that stuff there. We have flash in Black
Mm-hmm.
Lotus. It's handpicked by the artist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be the same stuff you're going to find somewhere else or anything. It's kind of the stuff we like to look at. But
Right.
it just gives you something to kind of look at. It also gives us a reference to show people,
Mm-hmm.
what we're kind of talking about size-wise, stuff, colors, and stuff.
Right.
But other than that, most of the stuff's going to be developed, for the individual straight off of us.
Very cool.
And you know what? Before we go to commercial, and the reason I'm going to say right now, guys, please forgive us. Today's show is going to be cut kind of short because Cora came in and said, I have an anniversary to get to my shop. So I promised her we'll get you in and out of here. I promise. But we're going to go ahead and go to our second set of commercials and come back, and we want to find out before we leave, we want to find out as far as where we can reach you, social media, and where your shop is located and so forth.
Yes, absolutely.
What I
So-
like to call the pimping section.
Oh, nice. Shameless self-promotion.
Well, going to a commercial now. See you shortly, right after this.
Hello, I'm Catherine Childry with Let's Vocalize. For over 35 years, I've coached vocalists and groups privately. I also perform vocal workshops training choirs. I'd love the opportunity to show you how direction, discipline, vocal health care, and regular practice can drastically improve you, your group, or your choir's performance. Call me at 706-536-6123 or visit us online at www.letsvocalize.com. I'd love to help you offer your best gift.
Yes, Toddy, the chocolate malt in a can.
It's so good hot. It's so good cold.
It hits the spot with young and old.
Yes, toddy pleases everybody. Delicious chocolate malted toddy, made with rich, real milk, not powdered milk.
So come and get it, everybody. It's time to drink your chocolate toddy.
Delicious.
Hello and welcome back to the show. Special guest, Cora Lee. So, Cora, this is the section which I like to call the pimping section, where we put everything in one little box so everybody can easily access it. If, in the third section of the show, they can sit there and flip through the pages and see where they can find everything that, all your social media and everything, like Tim just
Okay.
said in the previous section.
Absolutely. Well, on social media, Black Lotus is Black Lotus Tattoo Gallery, Columbus, Georgia, on Instagram. You can search for us on Facebook. Once again, make sure it's the Columbus, Georgia. There's some similar shops with similar names in other parts of the country. We have a website, www.blacklotustattoogallery.com. Go there. You can get directions to the shop. You can book an appointment. You can send a deposit. You can look at everybody's portfolios. You can get in touch with us, and send us an email, anything.
Cool.
And, we're looking at that. It goes all the way down to the facts as far as, what should I do before a tattoo? What should I do after a tattoo?
Oh, yeah.
How can I
absolutely.
care for it? So forth.
That way you have reference, not just us talking to you after the tattoo.
Right.
People are in a different state of mind. They're excited. Their endorphins are running. We're telling them, hey, make sure you wash this right. They're not going to necessarily remember the details. We make sure we have a reference for you to online, sitting at your house. You can just log in and get it.
Yeah, you ever had
awesome.
somebody, oh my God, it's red. Well, hey, I just stuck a needle in your arm, so, give it
That's
a try.
normal.
Now, what advice would you give to aspiring artists? Well, just depending on who we have on the show, I always ask this question, but in this case, tattoo artists.
Well, in this day and age, if you want to get into tattooing, I suggest going to art college. That way you have an arsenal, because there's just so many people right now that are really interested in this industry that if you don't come hard and have something behind you, not just, oh, I like to doodle at home. I'm sure you do, but there's people that are going to have college art theory. You know what I mean? And so you can just do yourself right and go to school first.
So the
You'll be taken more seriously too. You know what I mean? We get people requesting stuff all the time, and like I said, I don't put people through very easily. You've got to have something. So
Right.
the easiest way to get something valuable is to go to school for it.
And I'm sure that with people going to school for it, there's a lot of competition out there these days. So it's like
Always.
anything else where you have to.
Absolutely. You got to keep your skills up.
Now, is there, as a tattoo artist and business owner, is there, considering the fact that it's now so mainstream, is there anywhere out there still like a force pushing against it? Do you run into opposition from people ever?
I still think that no matter what, there's still going to be people who don't understand why people want heavily, tattoos and stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's not for everyone. It's just becoming kind of popular right now. It doesn't mean that it's going to be for everybody. So sure, I get stopped. I've been stopped. Oh, if you just didn't have all that on your body, I'm like, I probably wouldn't make the career I have of living. Yeah, it's not for them to understand either.
Right.
But especially in different parts of the country, there's just belief systems that it goes against, and that's fine. There's always going to be that, I think.
One question I do want to ask, being that, and we're gonna wrap up here shortly, but
Sure.
Is there, and this isn't as far as opposition, just as far as the market in general, how would you say the difference in the market is between Georgia and Florida?
It's a completely different market, but where I'm working down there, it's a completely different style. Like working, it's a street shop. It's in an entertainment district. There's people are on vacation. The tattoo requests are going to be completely different. The influx is going to be different. They come in droves. Sometimes there's nobody there for a minute, and then there's 15 people, and they all want something, and it's all I'm going to have to do. You know what I mean? So it's a completely different, almost mindset, but it's fun. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's got it's real fun too. You know what I mean? Like here, it's a little slower and a little more. Like, you get that developmental time.
Right.
There, you got to be ready, and go right then. I like both sides of it.
So the pressure's a little actually higher down there because you don't
because it's more instant, for sure. Wow. For sure. You're on deck as soon as they walk in. Here, you can kind of be like, okay, well, let me think about it. I'm going to hit you up. I'm going to talk to you. You send me some reference. Down there, they're like, we need this now. And so you go, okay, let me go see what I can put together right now. And then they're all standing over you and like, watching everything you do, and it takes some time to get used to that kind of environment to draw in and to develop in, but like I said, I mean, that's fun stuff too. It is. It's more high paced, so it's both awesome.
And it's exciting, and you adventure every day. You just never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
Well, Cora, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Very educational for me. Got anything else, Tim?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to really quickly. I was looking at the Black Lotus website here, and one of the last things that Cora has is "We don't exist without you." And that's pretty much how we feel with guests here. We have a lot of guests come in thanking us, and thank you. But the reason saying that is I know that Cora would agree she would not exist without these people right here.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
And I know she's got to get out, and she is going to go party with them and having a celebration. But I wanted to recognize each and every one of them because I know they're hardworking and very talented people.
Absolutely. They're amazing.
Well, that's very cool. Awesome. And I hope that you have a wonderful anniversary party.
Thank you.
And I'm Brian Mallard for the show. We got Tim over there. We got Cora Lee here. And we'll see you next time. If Tim has the clip ready, and I'm not jumping the gun.